There's a moment every entrepreneur hits. You're working harder than you ever have. The calendar is packed, but the inbox feels endless. That to-do list never gets shorter, and somehow the business still isn't growing the way that it should be. But the problem isn't effort. The problem is leverage. Welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and every week I'm sitting down with founders and top performers who have found that lever. The hire, the system, that mindset shift that changed everything. This show is for the business owner who's ready to stop being the bottleneck and start being the architect. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I am your host, John Davidson, and today I am excited to be joined by a titan of real estate, hailing from the Palisades, I believe. We have Anthony Marguleas, and he is the founder of Amalfi Estates. Anthony, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm excited.
As am I. Well, I'm so thrilled to share this incredible career that you've had, but also how you lead with service and how you love sharing your knowledge with others, particularly students at UCLA. But take me back to day one of founding Amalfi Estates and what was going on in your life and what helped you take that step into founding the business?
It's a good question. I mean, I really wanted to build a value-driven company and not just another brokerage. We really lead with service and we really focus on the client. And I know a lot of those are platitudes that a lot of agents or company owners may say, but we really like keeping boutique, keeping it small. We have 7 agents in our Los Angeles office, and we opened a Dallas office 3 years ago, and we have a small office there. I've had the 20, 30, 40 agent teams, and I've found the smaller ones, it's more family, work family, and more boutique. And culture is so important for our business and keeping what we have so special. I tell people all the time, and other company owners and team leaders, that agents who come to you for leads and for splits will leave you for leads and splits because there's always going to be a company that has a higher split or has better leads. So if you can really develop the culture, it's the most important thing to have. People will stay with you with a lower commission split because they enjoy working with the people and the culture you built. So,
Yeah, that's such an important point. You know, my first office job, I was in Washington, D.C., and I started as a temp in a tax firm. And it was very young, first opportunity, and I ended up getting hired on full time. And this is before I went to college. And so, but it turned out, the tasks I was doing were not exciting. And I'm filling printers with paper. I'm cleaning out meeting rooms, not meeting in them, just cleaning up after others. But this place had an incredible work culture. Turned out to be one of the top 50 best places to work in Washington, D.C. And I was speaking with the managing partner when I was leaving because I had such a great experience. I decided to go back to school. And I said, Ed, what do I need to know when my name is at the top of the building? And he said, John, it's all about culture. It's about the people. And, a lot of people want to work for us. And it's important to be smart. It's important to be experienced and be capable. But what's most important is being respectful, being generous, and fitting in with a team. Share with me how over 30 years and having a growing business, how have you been able to successfully instill that culture and keep it that way?
it's a great question. It's a continuing process, and so we always want to be giving back. We have core values for our company that our agents created, and we do what's in the client's best interest, and that really leads us. A lot of times, anytime there's a situation, a problem, we always say what's in the client's best interest, and that really helps us. We always want to educate and give value. A lot of companies will just post on social media about their listings or about their open house, and we always want to lead with what would a client be interested in. We really frame our company culture as a philanthropic company that specializes in selling real estate, because we started 12 years ago, John, giving 10% of our commission to it was six charity partners. We added a seventh after
Wow.
the Palisades fire. So we've been able to help 114,000 families and pets through our charitable giving, which is 20 times the impact of us selling homes to our clients. So we've
Wow.
helped close to 2,000, actually more than 20 times now that I think about it, but we've helped close to 2,000 families buy, sell, and lease over 32 years. And in
Hmm.
12 years, we've helped 114,000 through our charitable giving. So it's a much bigger impact to the community. People don't view us as salespeople. They
Yeah.
view us as community leaders. And it's a big distinction.
Wow. I mean, that is such an incredible impact. There's a lot of companies who give to a charity or two, and of course that's creates some positive PR, but clearly, I mean, 10% is huge. You've done this for 7 years. You're doing seven different charities, helping over 100,000 individuals. Take me through what compelled you to add this into your business plan.
It's a good question. I mean, my parents gave a lot to charities, so they were good role models. We raised our kids every time. We have four kids, and I would tell them at an early age, what are you doing to make a difference in the world? And then the 10% is kind of tied to tithing. A lot of religions have tithing, whether it's Christianity or Mormon Church or several others, just about giving back and helping less fortunate. So we really lead with service, and we found the business follows. I believe in the plentiful mentality. I believe in the law of reciprocity.
Mhm.
So, you give as much as you can without any expectation of getting anything in return. And it's really helped our business and helped whether it's recruiting or whether it's gaining more business. And
Yeah.
the community has resonated very, very strongly with that. So.
I love that. In an era where most agents are moving toward large national franchises or mega teams, you've really sustained this independent brokerage for 30 years. What is the strategic case for staying independent, and what has that decision either cost you or how has it rewarded you over the years?
It's a great question. I mean, there's been more consolidation, John, in the last 12 months than we've seen probably in the last 20 years. Just amazing consolidation in our industry. And people are becoming more commodities. When you look at the big box brokerages, nothing wrong with them. It's just it's a different mentality. They're really rewarding Wall Street by having the stock prices go up, and I don't think the consumer is benefiting as much. If you look at almost every major market, it's not the big box brands; it's the small boutiques that really own that market share because they know the local business. They're involved in the community. We partnered with a company called Side approximately 7 years ago, and they run the back end systems. They have 600 Side partners and Side companies that represent Side now, and they currently are the ninth largest by volume, but they kept the flavor of the independence, which is really, really unique in that setting. So I like being independent. It's a second generation family owned business. I have two of my kids now working in the business. Max has been with me 8 years, and Jack's been with me 3 years. And I think we can move a lot more nimbly when you're an independent. We can navigate things. We can react after the Palisades fires that destroyed 5,900 homes. We were able to be a community leader and give valuable resources and knowledge to people who are trying to make a decision. Do I sell my lot? Do I rebuild? What do we do? And we started getting very big on social media, doing a lot of educational videos. Some of those videos got 1.2 million views per video. So really helped the community. It really resonated, and it was our way to give back. by answering questions, because you're helpless after a natural disaster. You just don't know what direction to go. And there's a lot of
Right.
misinformation. And we were there to help kind of guide the ship, if you will, and still are.
Yeah, I want to take you back to that Palisades fire. I know that that's where you live, right? And that's you were personally impacted. And I believe, you've how many homes had you sold in that impacted area, roughly?
So I've sold 1,800 homes in totality. In the Palisades itself, it was 650 homes prior to the fires.
Yeah.
350 of those lost their homes, myself included, and my business.
Yeah.
We are rebuilding, so we're going through the process that everyone else is. But when you have 65 to 70% of a community that's been wiped off the map, businesses, stores, markets, our kids' schools, it's a sense of loss and a sense of mourning that it is hard to put into words,
Yeah.
because of the impact it had on the community.
It's such a unique situation in to be there for a client, right? I mean, in real estate, you're helping buy and you're helping sell, but this level of loss with that many clients in the area, how were you able to assist these folks in this unique way, also having experienced the loss yourself?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'm a data guy. I'm different than many real estate typical agents. I love data and I love statistics. And when there's so many unknown variables, if I can help people, letting them know what the market's doing appreciation wise, we've appreciated about 10% from the bottom of the market. Land values dropped about 40% after the fires. Now they're down about 30%. Who the buyers are, is it a good time to sell? Anything like that. Who are some good resources for builders, for public adjusters to help collect money from the insurance companies, anything like that. I mean, leadership isn't about having all the answers, John. It's really just about telling the truth and helping to guide people. So I heard something from a Hawaii fire survivor, and I borrow the phrase, and it's really, the goal is to bring everyone home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's when you have so many people that have been in their homes 50, 60 years, they're in their 70s and 80s. If we can bring everyone home and bring back the flavor of what the Palisades was, that's my goal. So I've talked a lot of people out of selling their lots if it wasn't the right choice, uh,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not about the commission. It's really about the community and doing what's right.
Yeah, I know. Post the fire, one of the most powerful things um, you've referenced is, sometimes the responsible answer is not yet, or we need to wait, which can be tough when you're in a desperate situation like that. Talk to me a little bit about how you as an agent have been able to develop the type of trust where your clients are really trusting you with the decision, even if it's not the thing that they want to hear at the time.
So by telling people to take a pause, because it's not like a normal decision. Do I buy and sell? Do I sell my property? There's it's almost like playing chess underwater, blindfolded, upside down, left-handed. You know, uh, you really have so many variables. It can become very overwhelming to someone,
Mm-hmm.
what decisions to make. So we tell them to take a step back, take a breath. Let's look at each variable and decide with your accountant, your CPA, your estate planning attorney, your family members, what the best decision is. And we go into it with that, because one, our reputation is everything. And everyone listening to this call, it's all about your reputation. And you want to protect your reputation above everything else. You want to listen more than you talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do the right thing for the client. And that's really what it comes down to. The reality is your reputation walks into the room before you do. And, you can ruin a reputation very quickly
Yeah.
that took decades to build up. And I'm always remembering, as a second generation family owned business, how important the reputation is. So,
Absolutely. Well, speaking of reputation, you have a reputation as a professor as well, right? You've taught at UCLA for right about 2 decades, if I have that correct.
yeah.
Share with me, some people believe in guarding their secrets and, keeping everything to themselves. A big part of your life is sharing your knowledge. Talk to me a little bit about your decision to teach and the benefits both in your business and beyond your business that has created.
It ties into the law of reciprocity that I mentioned earlier, and um, really just you want to give as much as you can. So teaching is one way to do that. I love to teach, and one thing about teaching is it teaches you to master the topic even better. So for anyone listening, if you want to understand a topic, try and teach it to someone, whether it's
Yes.
AI, whether it's the new real estate contracts, whether it's new technology out there. Try and teach it to either someone on your team or another fellow agent or maybe someone in your family. And it's going to cause you to understand it so much better by teaching it. And I love to teach. I've taught thousands and thousands of UCLA students. I also have been coaching real estate agents for the past 5 years. I've coached hundreds of real estate agents on how to scale your boutique firm and also how to break into luxury. Those are my two topics that I teach a lot of agents doing. And I think it's our responsibility to give back. We've been very, very fortunate. And if we can give back to the community that's given so much to us, it's the least we can do. I think we owe it to ourselves.
Now, have you had any of those students come into your brokerage, or have you typically kind of helped them fly out of the nest?
Yeah, no, I did have one, and what's interesting about teaching is students challenge assumptions and really keep you learning. Everyone I meet, I don't care if it's a brand new agent, I always think, what is one thing I can learn from every single person I meet with throughout the day? Because when you think you've learned everything and you've been, quote, at the top of your field for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it's easy to think you have all the answers. But everyone
Sure.
you meet, I try and learn something from, and I always do, whether it's a brand new agent or whether it's a student in one of my classes. I'm always learning, always open to learning, being humble. The three things we look for in recruitment: we look for humility, coachability, and hunger. And finding those things, humility is probably the most important because you can't teach it. It has to just be there. So,
Yeah, take me through that because I'm a big believer in humility as well. There's a funny quote from C.S. Lewis. It says, humility is shy in the way that you can quickly become prideful of how humble you are. And another quote I really love is, let's see if I can get it right, is humility is not thinking less of yourself, but simply thinking of yourself less.
I love those quotes, John. I think I definitely resonate. I believe very strongly in self-deprecating humor. Um, and anytime you take yourself too seriously because you think you've made a bunch of money or you've been successful or you've been this or been that, you just have to remind yourself. And I think self-deprecating humor, to me, I love telling people I'm an idiot savant. I'm an idiot with about 99% of things. I just happen to know real estate. So, um, and I think back to leading with service, when you lead with service, you don't have a big ego. I think when you're helping other people, success does follow by leading with service. So, and I think having a niche too is really important, regardless of where you're at in your real estate career. You don't want to be everything to everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
So we started Amalfi Estates. It was originally called AM Realty many, 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 many years ago. And we were buyers only. That was our niche. And we didn't take listings. And we did that for about 7 or 8 years. Then we rebranded to luxury, to Amalfi Estates. So whatever you do, if you can find a niche, they say the riches are in the niches.
That's well said.
Niche that you can specialize in and differentiate yourself and be the best you can at that specialization, whether it's second home market, vacation home market, 1031 exchanges, multifamily, you name it, but just be very, very, very good at that. And so that would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Now, those listening who are saying, okay, I understand not to be all things to old people. I hear you that it's important to find a specific niche and, get my riches in the niches. That cracks me up. How do you define, how do you find that niche for your business?
I think you have to find what you're good at. A lot of people don't know, what their secret power is. So find out what your secret power is. Maybe it's people. For me, it's data and spreadsheets. So I do a lot of media interviews because people love my, data and my background, and everything I have has data backing it. What is happening in the market.
Yeah.
And I've been using AI a lot to help expand that, exponentially. Expand exponentially, double that one up. But whether it's Perplexity or Claude or AI or whichever AI you prefer, just get really good at it. And it levels the playing field. I mean, going into real estate now, you have the best advantages in the world to get good at whatever specialization you want to do. So find your superpower. Find out what you really love to do, so it's not work. When you find what you love, what you do, you're never working a day in your life. And I talk to agents all the time, and like, I'm so burnt out. I've been doing real estate for 5 years. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been doing this for 34 years, and I wake up every day with enthusiasm and excitement, and I love what I do. I would do this and wouldn't even get paid for it. I love it so much. So you have to find what you love and then delegate the rest to other people who love. If you don't like spreadsheets and data and doing comps, then go sub that out to someone who does love it.
That's right.
And just do what you love to do.
Yeah, that's a great insight. Well, we're going to learn more from you right after this message from our sponsor, Sphere Rocket.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time-consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, Anthony. Now, you have all sorts of successes over this 30-year career, and it's incredible the amount of homes you've sold, the amount of people you have helped through your charity. But, sometimes I like to focus on the failures. And the reason why I say that is a lot of times it's hard to learn from the wins, right? And so while failures may not be pleasant, they often teach the greatest lesson. If you can take me back to one point in your career, what's a moment that maybe felt like a failure at the moment, but has taught you one of the greatest lessons?
It's a good question. And I agree, failures are definitely the best way. We were buyers only for probably too long. I lost a couple of very, very good agents because they said, look, I want to expand to do full service. And being too comfortable. I think change is good. A lot of times people, they get anxiety with change, but when one door closes, another opens. And I think just getting out of your comfort zone. And the failure was I did not realize, and I was too comfortable where I was at. And so I think just kind of analyzing your business. Other things, when you start getting successful, you take on too many expenses. That was one failure. I took on way too many employees, way too much overhead. And a lot of it's ego. You ask yourself, oh, look at me. I have a huge team and I have all these support staff and I have a director of this and a director of that. And the reality is that's your ego talking. And so one of the failures I realized I hadn't looked at my expenses often enough or frequent enough. So now I look at it every month and every quarter. And what my one rule is, if I cut something and it doesn't affect my bottom line, then it was the right decision. So I cut all print advertising 5 years ago. And people that you're crazy, you cut all print advertising. What do you mean? So I no brochures. It was during COVID. And, you couldn't hand out brochures anyway. So I said, let me try. I'll cut all my newspaper ads and brochures and just listed, just sold and everything. And I saved myself about $200,000 a year. Did not affect $1 on my bottom line. So now I'm running we do $250 million a year in sales. And I'm running it all with approximately 120,000 of overhead, which is almost unheard of.
Incredible.
Most businesses, they're going to have a staff of 10 or 15 people. But I kept cutting, and I wanted to see. So I've cut $400,000 in a year just on overhead. Wow. So one of the biggest things is our industry teaches and rewards the accolades of, look at me, I've done 50 million in sales, 100 million in sales, $1 billion in sales, but they don't reward the bottom line, which is your net income.
Yeah.
I have companies that are doing 5 million in sales volume that are 10 times more profitable than the companies that are doing $1 billion in sales volume. And so we need to reward the people that are running their businesses profitably and not the businesses that just have huge dollar volume, which is what a lot of these large companies are rewarding. With all, you go to these real estate conferences, John, and first thing people ask is, what are your sales? As opposed to what's your net. I think that's an important question.
Well, that's a great thing to dig into for a minute. It sounds like this is rather widespread as people are finding success, they're adding costs. Is there a common mistake there that you're seeing from a lot of different folks as they're growing? They're adding costs in ways that they shouldn't, or they could be saving more, or is it kind of all over the board?
So I had 4 full-time assistants, and now I just have 1 part-time, and I'm substantially more successful and more efficient. I just think when your revenues go up, your expenses go up.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, it's not a problem. I had 2021, everyone had the best year of their career. So naturally, you're going to sign up for all these different things and new softwares, new technology, maybe new hires, new social media managers, more, all this stuff. Look at your expenses, because we were doubling up so many things we weren't even aware of.
Yeah.
We didn't realize we were paying for, 2 internet services for years. We didn't realize we were paying for things we weren't using. So
great point.
Have a hard look at your expenses every year and ask yourself, because in our industry, it's always the $5,000 ones. It's only $450 a month. And so you're like, well, $450 a month isn't bad. And then you're like, well, wait, I paid $5,000 for that for the last 10 years. And I have 5 different companies doing that. So it adds up. It adds up very, very, very quickly. So if you're not good at looking at your expenses, hire someone that is. You can go to chat and download your whole P&L, your QuickBooks, and say, where can I be cutting? How does this compare to the top 500 real estate companies that are my similar size, and where can I cut? And am I overpaying on rent? Or, just ask yourself a lot of questions, and nothing is there's limiting beliefs. So one coach taught me, Workman Success Systems, Burl Workman, we have a lot of limiting beliefs in life. And a limiting belief could be, I have to have a real estate office because we do 200 million a year in business. And where am I going to meet them? I haven't had an office space since COVID. Well, let me clarify. We had an office space we didn't use, and then the fires burned it down. And so now we haven't had an office for going on 2 years, and it's been fine. I meet the sellers at their listings, and buyers, we drive them around and we'll meet them at coffee shops or where have you. And that's saved $70,000 a year. So
just like the print advertising.
Just like the print. That's exactly right. Yeah.
It's really interesting how necessity can lead us in the right way. When you can't do something anymore, that capability is gone, and you realize, wait a minute, I thought before this situation I couldn't do business without this thing. Right. Now I found out I can do business a lot more efficiently without it.
100%.
Yeah. Well, you've had success over a long period of time. 3 decades. You've been through multiple market cycles
and failures. I've had success and failures.
Yeah. Let's not overlook the failures, which are great to learn from. But there's so many a global pandemic, the Palisades fire, sweeping industry changes over the course of your business. What's the most important thing you've learned about building a durable business that lasts long term?
It's all about attitude. Every one of us gets thrown something, right? Like you said, the pandemic, we couldn't do open houses anymore, right? For a while. Maybe your lead source dried up. Maybe you were doing Zillow Flex, or maybe you're doing whatever the lead source. And I think it's all about attitude, and it's all about bouncing back and being open to change, and having a positive attitude and leading with service. I think those are the key elements here. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. So it's so important to protect your culture. We've let go some of our top producers because their attitude wasn't fitting with our company culture. So you want to hire slow and fire quickly. Really, really important. Nothing's worse than having someone in your organization that doesn't match with your core values. Very, very important.
That's well said. I'm curious, just a few more questions for you here. If you were to go back to day one of founding Amalfi Estates and talk to your former self, what's one piece of advice, other than the many other nuggets of wisdom you've provided so far in this episode, what's one piece of advice that you would tell your former self?
Do what's in the client's best interest. It's hard when you're starting off and commission, you have to pay your bills, right? So That's the hardest part, but you trust yourself and study as much as you can. So you are the expert, whether it's the comparables, whether it's the contract. I think those are just crucially important to separate. We're a very crowded industry. There's 2 million licensed agents in the country. And you need to separate yourself from all the other people out there. So when I started off, I would tell myself, trust myself. One thing that I started doing 20 some years ago was creating a Google Doc where I could list my accomplishments and things I was proud of, personal and business. And I don't care how small it was, but you look back and they're all positive affirmations, John. So I look back my first year and it was like, I got my first listing, or I got my $1 million listing, or I hired my first assistant. And I look back now and I go, wow, look how far I've come. And if you chart that, no matter where you are in your career, personal or business, it gives you this confidence of positive affirmations. So I look at that even today. I still track it, of accomplishments and tracking it and looking back. Because it's so easy to look back and go, wow, I'm not making progress. Or you look back and you go, wow, I actually have. I actually have. And doing a business plan, very, very important. Getting a business coach, extremely important. I would tell myself when I first started. I was stuck at a certain plateau. I was doing 20 million a year for like 4 or 5 years, which is not bad. But I wrote down a goal that I wanted to do 50 million. And I got scared. My heart starts pumping. How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
And I put together a business plan. And the first year I did 53 million after setting that goal, after being plateaued at 20 million. Then I plateaued at 50 million. I set a goal of 100 million. And then I set a goal of 200 million and then 400 million. And, you have a limiting belief as people that we can't do something. It's not possible. And we became, knock on wood, we were the top 10 team in the country out of 2 million agents in 2021 because of the goal setting, because of the business coach. So as a new agent, that's what I'd recommend.
I love that focus on mindset. There's another quote I'm reminded of that is, I don't remember who said it, but it goes something like, whether you believe you can do something or believe you can't do something, you're probably right. A lot of it comes down to the mindset.
100%.
Well, you've built something really incredible here, Anthony, that has benefited so many folks, whether it's the charities that you mentioned, whether it's the students that you're teaching and, the clients who you're helping find fantastic homes. What are you hoping that people remember about what you are building and the impact that you're making?
I mean, the legacy, I don't want to have, a lot of agents don't have a life, unfortunately. They're 24/7 on their job. And it pains me, I don't want on my tombstone to say, this is someone who sold 3 billion homes, in real estate. The legacy is the people we've helped. As I mentioned, helping over 100,000 families and pets is so substantially more than the number of people we've helped in our real estate. So just know that we can have a huge impact. I started the charitable giving because I didn't have a lot of money and I couldn't just write a check, but I knew my time was valuable. So I said, I'm going to give a percentage of my time, which was the 10% of the commission. So I wasn't giving it up front. It's when we sold a home, then our client would choose from one of our charity partners. And we had one for kids and one for pets and one for health and one for homelessness and one for the environment. And then we added Palisades Forestry for the community in the Palisades for replanting trees. So the legacy is something bigger than ourselves, and that's our charitable giving. And we're now community leaders, and they don't look at us as too much. Our industry has looked like used car salesman or life insurance, and you're just salesman. You're trying to sell me to get a commission, and people know at Amalfi Estates we're not that way because of our charitable giving and because of what the huge impact we've given. That is our legacy, and that will continue to be our legacy. We're giving right now. We're averaging about $200,000 a year, helping on average about 10,000 families and pets a year.
Wow.
That is what I'm most proud of. And then seeing young agents, to see a 22-year-old agent give 10% of their commission to charity and modeling that behavior, there's nothing that makes me prouder. So we also have helped a lot of other companies create charitable giving models. I've spoken at National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, to help other real estate companies set up their charitable giving models. So that's really rewarding to us.
Well, that's a great point. If for our audience listening to this, a business owner who may not yet be giving to charity, but is, has that tug on their heart, what advice would you give them to get started in that?
So it doesn't have to be 10%. It could be 1%. It could be $100. It could be an hour of your time, in some capacity to help with the community, I think is the best thing to do. We've learned a lot over the years. I used to lead with the money, meaning, oh, look how much we've given. But I realized that was ego-based, right? So now we've broken it down into $500 increments. So we know that we've helped this number of families at Make-A-Wish with their airfare. We know this is how many dogs we've rescued. We know that this is how many pounds of trash that we picked up through Heal the Bay. So when we break it down and make it more personal, that was huge. And then in all of our advertising, we broadcast our charitable giving to differentiate ourselves from our competition. We have sign writers on our signs saying give 10% back to charity. Every one of our online ads and social media talks about our charitable giving. So we lead with that. We lead with the servant mentality. And it's important. It's a thin line too, because we don't want to say me, look how much we've given. Right. So we let the charity speak for us. And that was a whole nother aha moment, rather than say, look what we've done. We let the charity comment, and then they tag us and collab with us. And it's more powerful that way. So
great insights. Anthony, I appreciate everything you've shared. It's a lot. I mean, I might have to watch this episode a few times to get it all. Very last question here for you. For those who are watching the episode who are interested in buying a home in the areas that you serve, how can people get a hold of you and your team in the ways that you'd like them to?
We're too busy. We don't take any more business. No, I'm just kidding. had to throw that out there. AmalfiEstates.com. We would be honored to work with anyone that is interested. And if we can't help you, we're happy to recommend a fantastic agent. If it's not an area that we specialize, either geographically or maybe it's a different asset class. We have a great database of top agents all over the country that we can help recommend. Happy to do that. So, and even if it's just giving real estate advice, happy to help with that as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you once again. Loved having you on the Leverage Podcast.
Appreciate it.